Dear John, but not as in the movie. Your video is good, I liked it. In your endpoint question, you say I could question the motive of your video being public as opposed to private. But the fact that you read it changed the question into why was it in video format at all instead of as writing. Because, obviously once you've made the video into a video, it may as well be public. But you decided to make it into a video in the first place. But I don't really think that that is a question that we should delve too deeply into at this point, because Hank Green already did a video about making videos as opposed to just written format. Because I recall he did a video whereby he put the whole of the script of the video on Tumblr and questioned which one was the more important, because they were both exactly the same, just different formats. But regardless, that's a different conversation, really, to the conversation we were having, as I see it. So I'm just going to go back to the conversation at hand. Your video was good in that it clarified some things regarding how you view crying. Crying, you said that you don't find it difficult to watch crying, and I think that the first time I read you commenting about this, I misconstrued it as you saying that you didn't feel anything towards the crying, emotionally you didn't make an impact, whereas now I think this isn't the case. And now I've been thinking about it a bit more, I find it a bit more relatable, because I do volunteer work with children sometimes, and one of the parents asked me recently a few times what I think or what I feel when her son is crying. She said, "Does it bother you?" And I said no, because it doesn't bother me that her son was crying, exactly because children cry and so forth. That doesn't mean to say that I don't care about her son, or I don't care about getting to the bottom of why he's crying. It's just the fact that he is crying is not something that I would ever hold against him or something. I can see your point of view a lot more now, now that you have explained it a bit more. Crying itself isn't the difficult part, I guess. The difficult part is whatever the crying is about, or the issue, or whatever the thing is to get to the bottom of, and however it's being dealt with is like a different thing. On the other hand, crying can be difficult to watch because it is a show of emotion, of it having, it can be a show of emotion of it having got to that stage, and it can be just a rush of emotions on either side to watch it and everything. It's a built up thing. I said it can be because I was going to compare it to swearing, whereby if someone swears, sometimes that can be a show of how they're feeling, how really aggressive they're feeling. But if someone swears all the time, it's going to have less of an impact. And I suppose that's the same with crying. If someone was just crying all the time, you might not feel that same, instantaneous, I've got to help them sort of rush. It might be different, I don't know. But I guess to me, if someone I knew was crying, and they don't often, it would instantly want to jump into action to help them. So I think different people could take different viewpoints on crying. Regardless, I think what you're saying is that it's not the crying itself which is like the main point or the difficult part. It's the thing itself, and the crying, I guess, could just be like the format of the thing. You mentioned motive, and in a way there was, because before making that video, I felt like I shouldn't make a video because I thought I was too upset to be making a video, and I shouldn't be doing that. I thought I should wait until everything's calmed down and feelings have subsided, and then look at the situation with a clearer mind, but I also didn't have an answer right then of what to do. So I felt like I was stuck between like a rock and a hard place, so to speak, and there wasn't an answer that I could see. So I didn't know how I was going to make it through that day, which is why I felt like there was an immediacy to making a video just then, just in case I didn't make it through that day. Because I thought, at that time, I felt too sad and too ill to go back to work. And I felt like underappreciated and stuff. So I didn't feel like I was going to go back to work at that time. But I also felt like I couldn't stay home, because if I stayed home I'd have to explain things to my parents, and I'd have to have an argument with my parents, and I'd have to deal with all that. So I felt like I couldn't go to work and I couldn't stay home, so there was nowhere for me to go exactly. There wasn't a answer of like, oh, I'll just, because there was neither of those. So I felt, oh, this is it, I've run out of answers right now. So then I got on normal clothes instead of work clothes, and I was fully prepared to go out, but not to work, just to go. And then before I did that, I stopped myself, and I thought this plan is ridiculous. This is really far-fetched. This is incredibly far-fetched. This isn't a plan. This is no plan. So I thought, right, I've just got to stop, and I've got to consider things again, and I've got to think of a proper plan right now. And I thought, what is it that people do when they don't go to work? And it occurred to me that phoning in sick was one of the options. And so then I emailed work and I said I was ill. So then I thought, now that I know I'm going to make it through this day, I should take down the video, because I don't want people to think of me that way. I don't want people to hear this explosion of emotion and non-clear video and judge me based on that. And I don't want like my parents or my brother or something to see that video and react to that. Sure, I would like to make a video or something about those emotions at some stage, but I think I could do it better. I could say them in a better way, do it with a clearer mind. It could still be compelling without all the crying and stuff, is my opinion. It could be clearer, things like that. So it had been about an hour, I think, after I had made the video, and I decided to quickly log on and take it down before my parents or someone watched it, and it got blown out of control. But by that point it already had comments, which I didn't expect. It's unlisted at the moment. I think the fact that that video did get comments is a good thing, because this conversation and those comments and so forth might inspire me to properly get down my thoughts and emotions on it, and maybe make a new video or something, because quite a few times I've wrote down my feelings on it, or I've got emotion on stuff, and then later on when I've calmed down again, I just put it aside again. I've got loads of writing every now and then. I just scribble something down, or every now and then whatever, but afterwards I don't put it together properly. But maybe now I'll feel supported in doing that. I've got a little something on my mind. To keep it to myself isn't really very kind. Pouring out my heart isn't usually my style, but you gave me an inch, so I'm gonna take a mile. Yeah.